when it comes to predicting the future, where do you see AI taking us in the coming years?
I think our vision of the future is one where every person has a team of agents that they control. It's almost like a renaissance time. This is a fantastic time to either be creating a business or investing in those AI businesses as well.
Hi, I'm Tom Guinness and welcome to the Raising Your podcast. Here we go behind the scenes with the people building the future of European tech. Today we welcome Barry Downs to the show. Barry is the founder and managing partner of Sure Valley Ventures. If you want to learn what it takes to invest in and build the next generation of AI businesses, you don't want to miss this. Barry, it's great to have you on the show today. How are you?
Tom, it's great to be here with you. I'm really excited to talk to you today.
Amazing. So why don't we kick things off a little bit about you? So, why don't you tell us about your story? Where most people know you as an investor, but I know that you're also a builder as well. So why don't you bring us through your story to date?
Sure, I'd be delighted to do that. Obviously, I've founded and I'm the managing partner of Sure Valley, and I've been doing that since 2017. And of course, it takes a couple of years to get a fund together. So myself and my colleague Brian kind of worked on that for a couple of years before launching it. Before that, there's probably two key things that I did that kind of informed my role now in VC. One of them was I was founder of a software company called FeedHenry.
Yeah.
And so I am kind of a builder at heart, just like yourself.
Yeah.
And that was in a previous wave of innovation. It was mobile cloud technology. And the insight back then, we founded this company back in 2010. And the insight then was we were at the start of the mobile wave. Mobile was going to be huge, but companies had real challenges building mobile applications for enterprise use cases in the cloud and securing them. And that's effectively what FeedHenry was. It was an enterprise-grade mobile cloud platform. And we went on a great journey with that, started it in Ireland, expanded it to the UK, set up a UK office, a Boston office, and then we were just opening the Silicon Valley office when a number of offers came in to acquire the company. Back in 2014. Ultimately, it was Red Hat that acquired the company. And, it was a fantastic experience for us and for the team. And Red Hat have gone on to expand the team in Ireland and also expand the team in the US as well. And I'm really pleased to say that the product is still in use in Red Hat. It sits on top of their OpenShift platform. So delighted with the result there. The other key thing I did was run a research institute called the Walton Institute.
Right.
And worked with a team there to take it really from a small kind of research lab to about 140 people doing kind of groundbreaking research, a kind of full life cycle research from basic research to applied to the commercialization of it. And had a wonderful team doing that. We were doing it in a couple of key areas. Machine learning was one of those areas, and that's what we used to call AI.
Yeah, before AI has been so big, right?
That's right, yeah. And also communication services. And we worked with some of the largest companies in the world. The other thing about running a research center is you're constantly looking into the future. Where is technology going? Trying to predict different applications of it, and then coming back to today and building that technology out, doing the R&D and commercializing it. I think one of the biggest challenges I saw in running a research lab is doing great science, but then translating that science into practical products and technologies that people can use.
Right.
So I think the builder experience and the R&D experience kind of came together as a package to set up Sure Valley back in 2017. And then I guess from a Sure Valley perspective, our goal from day one was really to be at the cutting edge of software technologies. So AI, even day one, was a core part of what we were investing in. And I guess there's a few lessons that I learned out of that. One of them actually is running a VC is a combination of both of those two things.
Right.
So running a research center, you're always raising capital to then deploy into groundbreaking new projects. And then as a founder, you're looking at how do you build out a very particular project, bring that to market, get distribution, get customers, and actually build a business out of it. And both of those two things I think are very relevant to VC.
So how has your life changed since you become a VC, or has it changed at all?
It has actually, yeah. I mean, I think the difference between, being a founder, you've got a single-minded focus. I mean, you're still, as a founder, you're still incredibly busy. You've got so much to do. You're working with constrained resources to try and build a big business. But as a VC, it's kind of humbling actually, because you're actually on many journeys with your founders, trying to support them. So you're context switching quite often. And, but also I think one of the things that's really incredible about being a VC is you get to work with such amazing founders, such talented founders. And also we have about 40 portfolio companies active at the moment. And just looking at those journeys and looking at how those founders are kind of breaking new ground is incredibly exciting, but also humbling at the same time. So busy, I would say. It's a very busy role, but very rewarding as well.
And so what are you looking to achieve with Sure Valley?
Well, with Sure Valley, I mean, our current goal is to be, the #1 AI VC in Europe. What we mean by that is we want to be, for a founder that's starting an AI company, we want to be the venture firm that they'll come to help them be successful, not just for capital, but also for kind of know-how, having been in the trenches, and support as well. Yeah. And I think one thing here in the team that I think distinguishes us is it's not that I'm like the only founder in the team. Actually, the team is chock full of founders. If you look at Brian, who's a founding partner, he's a founder of multiple businesses. If you look at DC is a 4-time founder and has had multiple exits. 4 times is great, actually, isn't it? Had multiple exits. Yeah. But even amongst the team then, even the non-founders tend to have a technical or software background. So for us, that's one of the things that I've wanted to build, is a team that really understands software, a team that's currently looking at where software is going, and also a team that founders can come to and identify with. I think one of the things that we would have, and by the way, there's many, many great VCs in the marketplace, yeah. But I think one of the things that differentiates us is because we have been on that journey, we have a great empathy for the founder's journey as well, because it can be a really tough journey for founders. I mean, I think often the perception in the marketplace, because of survivor bias, yeah. The media tends to cover the ones that are very successful. But there's lots and lots of companies that aren't billion-dollar companies, but which get very successful exits for their founders. But then there's also ones that don't work out as well. Mm. And so I think being a founder is it's a very important job in society, because founders really are at the cutting edge of creating new innovations, of creating the productivity that we need as a society to grow. But it's a very, very difficult job, and they take great personal risk. There's opportunity cost, and they often invest their own capital in it as well. So given all of that, what we hope we can provide to founders is a team that really understands their journey, that has been there before, and can help them no matter what problem they may have. We'll have somebody in the team that's had that problem previously. And also we can give advice on, technology strategy, or go-to-market and distribution strategy as well. So yeah, that's the goal. The goal is to be the place where founders come.
And having such a great depth of talent within SVV is incredible for founders looking for great resources.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, on any one particular week, we may be working with different companies, whether it's on fundraising, because obviously we invest at kind of pre-seed and seed, yeah. And then we will follow on at Series A and often Series B as well. But on the founder's journey, we're their pre-seed seed VC, right. And then they'll need to find a new VC to lead the Series A round, where of course we'll, as I say, we'll follow on. But even just prepping the companies, the transition in terms of what a company needs to show a Series A VC, that changes from pre-seed to seed to Series A. So helping the companies get ready for that Series A funding round, making warm introductions is another thing that we do as well, and actually helping the companies position themselves correctly also.
Right.
So we might be doing that during any 1 week. We might be helping another company with kind of go-to-market. We might be helping another company with product strategy. And then quite often we have, amazing tech talent in the team as well. Yeah. So even getting in and helping on, platform architecture is something we do also. So just the mix and the diversity in any week is actually, incredible. And that makes the job very interesting also.
And so when I think about, folks that you've backed already, kind of what notable investments have you been part of at SVV? And what made them special?
Yeah, so there's maybe a couple just to talk about initially. There's a company called Artomatics, great founding team. It was an early exit for that company. They got an exit to Unity Technologies, who are kind of like the big game engine. They're one of two big companies in the space.
Yeah.
And the company, it was quite early because the company, obviously it was an AI project. And what they were doing was helping artists automate. It was even back in 2018, 2019, helping artists automate a lot of the work that they don't really want to do. A really great example of this is an artist might go to art college or design college for 4 years, and then they come into video game production. And there's a lot of the job that they really like, but there was a lot of it that was drudge. It was moving this pixel here to there. Yeah. Artomatics automated all of that. And it was an early exit because the technology was groundbreaking. And the minute the company had its first contract demonstrating its value in the real world, Unity came in and made an offer. And what was interesting was the founders, it was their kind of ambition to work for Unity. So we kind of supported them. We kind of supported them on that journey. Another one more recently is a company called Getvisibility. And this is a Cork-based company. And Getvisibility were kind of leaders in AI data security. Fantastic team, Mark and Ronan, based in Cork. And they built really a groundbreaking platform. And data security is, people will be familiar with cybersecurity and database security. Data security is security around documents in the enterprise. Yeah. And actually most data in an enterprise is different types of documents. Yeah. And so they could identify, classify, secure, enforce policy. And they had a very good relationship with a huge security company, Forcepoint. And I think it was about this time last year, they got a really super exit to Forcepoint as well. And the team are now currently working with Forcepoint to kind of scale that technology up. And then more recently, even today, we made an announcement about one of our companies, Mirror Security.
Exactly.
Which is a fantastic company in the AI inference encryption space. And inference is basically the AI models running and producing results. Right. And the challenge to date is that if you take data and kind of organization know-how, you can secure that in whatever way you want. But when you do inference is the weak point because it's not secure. So Mirror Security have just announced a big partnership with NVIDIA to be the inference encryption and security layer. And obviously that company is going to do fantastically well because it's a key problem in this space. And to be honest with you, I could go on and on and on.
Yeah, 40 active ones. I'm sure you got plenty to talk about.
Maybe a good way to think about how we do investment. So first of all, we are primarily enterprise, and we are looking at AI in the enterprise. And we think about a particular enterprise AI stack, and starting with, obviously, the base of that is the compute and the inference on the compute, and that's where Mirror Security operates. And then if you go a layer upon that, you've got foundation models. And actually, we've just invested in a couple of foundation model companies. I don't think we've announced those yet, but they're both in really interesting spaces. They're not in kind of traditional LLM space. One of them is in kind of video game testing, for example. Right. So it's a kind of a visual foundation model. So we do invest in foundation models, and then there's a stack that sits on top of that. And we really think about that as the agentic stack. So at the top of that stack, you've got applications of agentic technology in a business. So a good example would be, we have invested in a company that's kind of in the sales automation space using agentic technology, Overpath, which we announced recently.
Yeah, that's with Ross.
That's right. Yeah, amazing company.
Old classmate of mine.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Congrats to Ross.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Ross and the team will do amazingly well. And another good example is we've invested in a company that's recently, which we're due to shortly announce as well, which is looking to automate the financial audit process. And they're working with some of the top auditors in the world.
Right.
And that's typically quite a human process at the moment. And so it's a gradual automation using AI. So if you think about those companies, they're applications of agentic technology in the business. Below that, you've got agentic middleware. Yeah. And so we invested in a company called Gentech recently, which is handling a lot of middleware. Yeah. There's agent platforms as well. We've invested in a number of those. And then you've got security, you've got governance, you've got policy, all of these. And you've got identity. So there will be lots and lots of winners across the enterprise. And our investment strategy is to invest in all areas of that stack.
And where do you see the biggest investment opportunities right now?
Oh, I absolutely. I think it is that stack.
Right. It's across the entire stack.
It is. I mean, one of the common things at the moment is the SaaS apocalypse, and that's an ongoing trend. And really, that's a trend of AI disrupting existing SaaS companies. Now, to be honest with you, that's a trend we saw 2 or 3 years ago. It was fairly obvious, looking at where agent technology would go, that some of the large enterprise SaaS companies out there will be able to take advantage of that. A good example would be Salesforce. They've taken advantage of that. But more often than not, existing SaaS companies will be disrupted. Right. And we're starting to see that widespread now. And it's the kind of vertical agentic companies that are doing that. So we're quite very active investing in businesses that are solving real problems for the enterprise using agent technologies, where you can see that problem quite clearly. And quite often they're replacing enterprise SaaS. But also, I think all the way through the stack, I mean, there is a 5 and 10 year rollout of agent technology coming to the business. So what we're investing in now will evolve, will develop. And just as we had 15 years of SaaS, I think we'll have 5 to 10 years of agentic software replacement, and lots of opportunities all the way across. And by the way, if anybody's in that space, we'd love to meet them.
So how has the last 18 to 24 months kind of changed your investment philosophy?
Well, I think a couple of things. I mean, I think one of the things that's become much more obvious over the last 18 months is that the underlying LLMs, like the Anthropic model, the OpenAI models, the core intelligence in that is being commoditized. So I think maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I think there probably was a widespread belief in the industry that it was all about model intelligence. And model intelligence is still important, but there are lots and lots of providers providing model intelligence. And we see fantastic new open source models every day, particularly from China. I mean, I think China is very much winning on the open source competition. We see that with new video models, new agentic models, new LLMs. So I think the foundation models are still important, but it is effectively being commoditized. What's much more important now are the layers being built on top. What would be called scaffolding in the industry, which is really adding technologies on top of the foundation models to make them better, to make them solve problems for our business and for consumers as well. So I think the big change I've seen is this focus on the scaffolding, and this has resulted in lots and lots of opportunity. Even if I just give you one example, we've gone through a wave of RAG technologies, retrieval augmented generation technologies, being very important, and they are for kind of parsing up documents and making them accessible to LLMs. and those platforms improve the whole time. But where we're going now is things like memory and context, and the kind of cutting edge of scaffolding on top of models is really around creating a knowledge graph of the enterprise. And the companies that can do that, whether they be providers of underlying technology or companies that are focused on distribution, like for example the Overpath or the Otis company, those companies are building a huge amount of scaffolding on top of the models. Yeah. And so what's happening with those companies is the competitive moat is shifting away from the underlying intelligence and more towards workflow and data. And so that's one of the key things we're looking for now. It's workflow, data, and where there is a foundation model, how is it different to what everybody else is doing?
Right, and to get that workflow and data, it's about owning the customer relationship.
That's exactly it. Exactly it, yeah.
And so when you think about your investment philosophy today, what's something that you thought was right at the start of your career that you now know is completely wrong?
The big one in my mind actually at the moment is that one in particular actually, about the foundation models. I think the other one is just how quickly companies can grow in this space as well. I mean, what we've seen, back when we started Sure Valley, we never really would have thought about a company like Lovable getting to 100 million in ARR in 8 months. That just didn't happen.
Yeah, even 2 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's definitely one thing. Now, it is slightly different, I think, in the enterprise. Lovable is more of a kind of developer type, consumer type product. But even enterprise companies can scale a lot more rapidly than they had in the past. And, classically in the enterprise SaaS world, it was you were looking for companies that could triple, double. Now you're really looking for companies that can have almost like a vertical takeoff. Slightly slower in enterprise because, there's friction in terms of, when you're implementing an enterprise, you've got to meet a lot of enterprise requirements and you've got change management. But still, even just the rapid takeoff of companies is really a big surprise. And that's one of the benefits, I think, of investing in the AI field, the opportunity for companies to have that rapid takeoff. The other thing is just the pace of change. I've always, one of the things I've always been attracted to, I should say, I've been really in the software business all my life, and undergrad degrees, computer science. Always knew I was going into technology of one form or another. Delighted it was computer science. It was the real area I'm passionate about. Yeah. When I'm not doing VC, I'm kind of tinkering and building and watching and keeping up to date. So I've seen a lot of change over my career, but just the pace of change over the last couple of years and the pace of the increase in the intelligence in the underlying models is incredible. I mean, just to give you one stat, I saw something recently. OpenAI releases a couple of new products or a couple of new features every week. The API changes, or they launch a new product, or they've added a feature to a product and just put it live. Yeah. That's almost unheard of. And all of the AI companies are following that pace as well. So I think that's instructive for the companies that we invest in as well. One, there's huge potential for them, but two, rapid pace of development, deployment, customer feedback. That's a key thing. And there was I think when we started, there was always a sense that you want to work with customers, you want to get feedback, but not that you'd launch 2 new features a week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And also just the amount of features that are actually being implemented these days, rather than being put on the bottom of a to-do list and never to be done.
Oh, completely. And I mean, it is like a fire hose of data coming at us, of new models, new features. And so within the team, both I and everybody else, a core part of our job is keeping up to date, looking into the future, knowing what's happening, tracking what's going on in the industry, making predictions. So that's a really exciting part of the job, particularly for somebody who came from running a research lab. I mean, that's really predicting the future and looking where things are going is a really exciting part of the job itself.
When it comes to predicting the future, where do you see AI taking us in the coming years? So maybe not in the next 5 years, but 10 years.
Yeah. So it's really interesting because we're kind of working on this ourselves because I think our vision of the future is one where every person has a team of agents that they control and teams of people working with these teams of agents. And so we've been implementing that here in Shore Valley through our, we've been building agents and having those agents automate a lot of our work. And the context for that is we had a venture partner and CTO come on board with us a number of years ago, John Frizzell. And John's vision was, he wants to join a VC, but he always wanted to build his own AI technology platform in this space as well. So John is effectively spun out of Shore Valley, and he's produced an incredible AI platform that makes it really easy for teams to build agents that the teams can work with to run their business. So John spun out, his company is now called Alludium.ai, and we've been a guinea pig for it. We've been because we're so passionate about this and doing it ourselves, we've been going out there building a whole set of agents to run our business. And the benefits of that we've even seen just even at this early stage are really impressive. So the metaphor for this is, as a team, we'll have a set of agents that we work with, and those agents will do things in origination, in evaluation, in investment management, in doing setup for meetings, in doing kind of analysis post meetings. And what it's allowed us to do is to do more with the team that we have and implement a more consistent process as well. And particularly on the platform side, it's enabling us to launch a new set of services for the companies that we work with that they wouldn't have had access to before. Right. So market mapping, for example, competitor analysis, running these things every day, providing real-time information. So we kind of get a bit of a window into this from our own work. Yeah. And so I think the enterprise of the future, so if you just extrapolate that over 5 years, I think all enterprises will be built on a set of agents that reimagine, it's not just about automation, it's reimagining how value chains operate in the business and how work gets done. And then there will be a team that actually uses those agents to have effectively superpowers. Yeah. So if you think about it, you come into work in the morning, the agents have already done work for you, you're set up and ready to go for the day. Excuse me, they're operating in the background throughout the day. If somebody emails us a pitch deck, it'll be picked up, it'll be analyzed, it'll be allocated to one of the team. There'll be an analysis sitting there waiting for them. The team can say, hey, this looks great. Please organize a call with the person. Everything is done automatically. The calls are, of course, with real people. And we still meet people face to face as well, which is very important. But you just extrapolate that out 5 years. Every organization will be run by agents with people with superpowers sitting on top. And then you extrapolate it out another 5 years, there will be a lot of autonomic work going on in organizations, stuff that just happens. The operations of the business will be running automatically, and you'll have people who are overseeing what the agents are doing. You start to see it at the moment also in some of the developer tooling. So if you look at Claude Code, that's very much a human in the loop model. Yeah. But if you look at OpenAI's Codex, that's very much a person has a team of agents who go off and do the work and then report back to them. I think both of those two models will perpetuate organizations over a 5 to 10 year period. Now, what that will mean for the organizations, of course, is, they'll be able to offer better customer service, there'll be increases in productivity, but also there will be new value created. As the new value created, I think it's the companies that use these technologies to create new value, reimagine how they run their businesses, that I think will win over the next 5 to 10 years.
Right. And when you think kind of beyond that, what do you think the new thing is going to be? Everyone's talking about AI today. What's going to be the next AI?
Well, do you know?
Or is it too soon to call?
No. There's clearly areas. I mean, I think if you look at the opportunity in AI, I still think we're at quite an early stage. And there are companies being formed at the moment, I think, that kind of get a little peek into that future. So I think clearly science, the automation of science and technology, and breaking new ground in science and technology. So a really good example of that is some of the work that Google has done in AlphaFold, and with kind of mapping out protein folding, and then giving it away to the world for free. There's so much benefit for that going to come from that, so much opportunity. Now, of course, they have also spun out Isomorphic, which is doing drug discovery.
Exactly.
So I think we're going to see already the models are getting very good at research in mathematics. There's a new model from Google, just came out this week in that area. OpenAI is in that area as well. So if you can solve programming, which is very close to being solved, i.e. you don't really need human in the loop. The code is written by the AI. So if you can automate code and you can automate mathematics, which we're very close to as well, mathematical research, then you'll be able to automate AI research, which I think will accelerate the pace of development of AI, but also then we will see great opportunities in physics, in material science, and actually even just last week we saw an amazing material science company coming out of one of the big universities here in London. You'll see drug discovery. So all of that is ahead of us. We're really at the earliest stages. The simple answer to give you would be quantum, right? I actually, I think quantum's still a way off. I actually think the big impacts that we're going to see will be AI applied to science in addition to AI being applied to business.
And so when we think about the next wave of founders and working with founders, of course there's the personal element, but using data is an incredibly important part of being a VC. So how data-driven is the team at SVV?
Yeah, well, actually, we're just talking about that agents project. We're obviously very data-driven.
Yeah.
I would say we're data-driven, but ultimately we're still in a mode where humans make the decisions.
Yeah.
So let me just give you an example. So we do a lot of automated outbound using systems and our agents. So let's go back to that DeepMind example. We track signals from the market every hour, and we're ingesting that into our agents, and our agents are surfacing those as signals for us. One signal might be one of the top researchers from DeepMind has left and has gone into stealth mode. That will pop up as a signal for us, and we'll do an automated outbound outreach to see, can we set up a call to talk to the researcher, see what they're doing, see can we help in any way, and not particularly even to say, hey, listen, do you need some cash, right? It's more to have the conversation, it's more to build a network, it's more to be part of the community. And then of course, as that researcher, if they are doing a pre-seed or seed round, we'd love to help them with that. But we track data all the way through our process. So if you think about our agents run our process now, we will, we're kind of like a classic VC. For every 100 companies we meet, we'll end up investing in one. We track data all the way through that pipeline. Right. Things like, response, even simple things like we will track, we're part of a BBB initiative, which is for female founders. So we track, the number of female founders we meet. We track diversity stats. We obviously have lots of data on the companies themselves, and we track how fast we move through our process as well. And one of the things that's very important for us is making sure that we are fast and that we respond to founders very, very quickly. So if we meet a founder, that they have a good experience with us, that we're intelligent, we ask good questions, but we also give them good feedback as well, regardless of whether we invest or not. We always like to give feedback. And one of the things we're very focused on at the moment is compressing that time scale so that We meet an investor, in a very rapid period of time. We'll analyze the business. And if we're not going to invest, we'll do that quickly and give them quick feedback. If we are, then we'll progressively take them through the process where we'll ask for more and more information to ultimately make the investment. Yeah. The other thing then is we don't want to waste founders' time by asking them for, I think I had this as a founder as well. When we were doing the Series A, myself and the team, it was a team effort to raise that Series A. Myself and the team met a lot of VCs, and a lot of VCs would ask for a lot of materials, and then some of them would take a long time to make a decision. We don't want to ask companies for lots of information if we're not going to make the decision. So it's also what information do we need to move the company through the process rapidly, and how do we make quick decisions and give the founder a good experience. So lots of stuff on our process, lots of stuff on signals, and then lots of things on what's going on in the market. How can we help founders? How can we keep them up to date on where they're positioned in the marketplace as well?
And so when it comes to identifying these founders who are perfect for Sure Valley, what framework do you use to identify these kind of must-back founders, in your opinion?
Yeah. Well, it's always a kind of a personal thing as well. But I think from a framework perspective, first of all, we're looking for teams. It's rare. It is exceptional that we would back one person team, or one founder that would have a team. Normally, it is a team. But there are exceptions to every rule, of course, as well. But generally, what we're looking for is a founding team that has somebody that's focused obviously on the technology and creating breakthrough technologies, and then somebody who's focused on the go-to-market, who's focused on engaging with the customer, getting distribution, really understanding the mind of the customer and the problem space. So we and the more balance there is in the team, the better, I think. Because entrepreneurship is generally, often we see in the media it's solo entrepreneurs that are kind of loaded. But in practice, it's a team. And it's not just the founders, it's the team they build. So it's the ability of the founders to really understand the market they're selling into, understand that customer, build groundbreaking technology for them. But then also, I think, we are looking for want of a better word, charismatic founders. And that's not to be good on camera, for example. It is to be able to recruit a great team. Because being able to go out there and hire great people and motivate great people and take them on the journey. And again, it's a journey where there's often an awful lot of hard work involved. Being able to build that team is very, very important as well. And then I think the other key thing, that the third leg of that for me, is being able to learn very rapidly, either from the market or from advisors as well. Either from advice that we might provide. And so the key thing that we would look for is if we give advice to a company, that they would either go out and get data and prove us wrong, or would very rapidly take on board the advice. And similarly from other founders as well. So that ability, I've always found that ability to take in lots of different data, and of course, the founders will get lots of advice from lots of different people, including us. The ability to be able to take it in, synthesize it, look at what's going on in the market, make quick decisions, and respond if, have a very quick feedback loop. If it isn't having an effect, figure out why, learn from that. And I think that's the best way at an early stage to kind of build that business. Be nimble, be agile, and also be responsive to market conditions. Because I think one of the other things I've learned over time is that quite often we'll receive a pitch deck and there'll be a set of competitors on the pitch deck. And competition is often represented as a static thing. Here's a set of competitors. Whereas in reality, competition is very dynamic. There's new competitors coming into the market almost every day in AI. Existing competitors are making different moves. It's to be able to think about the competitive environment and what customers want as well in a very dynamic way and chart a path through it. It's almost like in the very first job I had was working for a US multinational called Infineon. And it was a small software business that became a very, very large one. And very early on in my tenure, I got this fantastic painting from the founder. And
Oh, wow.
and it was, the company was based in Boston and Cape Cod and had a kind of a yachting team. And it was a picture of a yachting team trying to navigate a path through stormy seas. And for me, that's always been the metaphor for competition. It's not static, it's dynamic. And running a business is like steering that yacht through stormy seas, trying to find the right path to get ahead of the other competitors in a race and win. And winning by providing, extreme value to customers as well. So that's the other key thing I would look for as well.
I guess we all know that very charismatic founder. So how do you distinguish between storytelling skill and kind of real substance?
Yeah, that's a good question, Tom. I do think storytelling is very important, and it is obviously a key thing that founders need to have to be able to, to tell stories to investors and also to motivate the team as well. Hire great people and motivate the team. I mean, it's pretty easy for us in SVV to actually kind of separate out storytelling from reality, which is, in our process, we'll always look to verify, what's real, what's future orientated. And it would be quite common, I think, for software companies, for founders when they're envisaging the future to sometimes talk in the present tense about future tense things. Yeah. And so during our process, I mean, that's, I guess, what an investment process is about. It is about understanding, okay, so what's in the future, what's here today, how long will it take to get to that future state? So really that is a DD process, it's a verification process, and to be honest, it's something we would be old hands at this stage,
And so when I think about the AI space, there's a lot of conflicting news articles about a seed round being either a few million or 80 plus million. When it comes to sizing and pricing rounds in early stage AI investments, what's your framework behind that?
Yeah, so I mean, kind of generally accepted in each particular market, kind of valuations for companies based upon what kind of milestones they've hit. So, for example, have they got an MVP? Have they first design partners, first paying customers, or do they have significant traction? And the valuation will go up based upon each of those milestones. And then, of course, where you're seeing, I think, those very, very big valuations, I should say those valuations are generally not crazy valuations for pre-seed and seed companies as they're going through those, particularly here in the UK and Ireland. We do see, certainly in Silicon Valley, kind of crazy ones. And you see crazy ones, let's say if somebody's come out of one of the top research labs and they're setting up their own lab, then there can be crazy valuations. And you would have seen that with Thinking Machine Labs, for example. Yeah. But generally, if you're not coming out of a lab and you're not building a foundation model, they're kind of reasonable pre-money and post-monies for those types of rounds. Where I do think you see a very rapid appreciation of value is if the company is in the market and growth is very fast and revenue is very fast as well. And that's the upside, right? Because in SVV, we'll typically invest on MVP, design partners, first paying customers. So the valuations are quite reasonable. And the arbitrage we're looking for is that the company then gets into the market, then gets paying customers and has rapid takeoff. And of course, the valuations go up pretty dramatically. And I think that's what we're looking to do. And I think all pre-seed and seed VCs would look to do the same thing as well.
So thinking to kind of the businesses that you didn't invest in, what's one business that you regret not investing in at the time, which you had the opportunity to do so?
Yeah, I mean, I guess every firm will have kind of like an anti-portfolio. There's definitely companies that we've not invested in that have gone on to do very well. We haven't had one where we've had the major regret that they become a unicorn, but I'm sure that will happen at some stage. I think the thing about VC is, unfortunately, and one of the hardest parts of the job is we say no a lot to founders. I mean, if you think about 100 companies coming in and one being invested in means we're saying no 99 times. So it's inevitable that we will find one of those companies. But no doubt there are companies that we said no to that have gone on and done very well. And our response to that is to look at why. We will always do a kind of, where we see that, we'll always try and identify why that was the case and try and learn from it. Yeah. Was there a signal we've missed? Was there something that we could have done differently? And so for us, it's, I was just talking a minute ago about, it's good for founders to be able to learn from experience. That's what we look to do as well. We're always looking at deals and to see, well, what did we miss that we didn't make that investment?
What do you think the role of a VC looks like in 2030?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. That's a fantastic question. And I want to go back to something that I was talking about earlier on about us building our own agents. So, one of the things we've been doing, so I think in the future, VCs all of their operations will be run by agents. And I actually don't think we're too far away from that. Of course, there is always going to be a human element to this. There's always going to be an element of trust. We see this the whole time. We always want to meet founders face to face, and they always want to meet us face to face as well. But a lot of the work of origination, evaluation, investment management, doing the legals, doing support, a lot of that can be automated with agents. And in fact, one of the things that we're doing right now is doing that, as we were talking about earlier on. But very shortly, we're going to announce an initiative called agentic.investor.org. And this is an industry initiative that we're launching to kind of give back to the industry as well. So our goal is to make those agents that we've developed open and available as templates for other investors, whether they be VCs or private equity or LPs. Pretty much all of the investment community can use these agents. And in fact, other industries as well. I've actually seen there's a lot of commonality with agencies and PR and stuff like that. But let's just stick with investors for a moment. What we want to do with this community is make those agents available, but also lessons learned. Yeah. What worked, what didn't, what broke, what do we think would make a difference for us and what didn't, and what were we surprised about? And what we're going to try and do is bring the industry together to take this as a starting point and build on it. Because one of the things we want to do is we kind of want to give back, but I also like the idea of VC is kind of a networked business and a community business. So there's nothing I would like more than working with other VCs on these agents, getting feedback saying, maybe a VC or an LP come back to me and say, that agent didn't add a lot of value for me. We're not going to use that. Yeah. But these ones over here, they added enormous value. Oh, and by the way, you never considered the following. We've gone off and we've built one of these, and would you like to use it? So the whole goal of this is that by us kind of seeding this community, that it can kind of lift all boats. Now, the goal of that, I think, is, if we're investing in the future, we should be using the technology ourselves. But it's also, VCs tend to be small teams. The average size of a VC is, between 10 to 20 people, sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less. And clearly there's a set of VCs in Silicon Valley, the guys like Andreessen that are hundreds of people. Yeah. But broadly, if you go throughout the US and Europe, it's 10 to 20 people. So, and all of those people are generally very, very busy, getting lots of emails, trying to help lots of companies. So if we can actually put in place something that runs the operations, I think it'll give our LPs better service. And one of the things I should say is the other humbling thing about the business is being entrusted by LPs with capital to invest. And it'd be nice to give back to the LPs as well, in addition to returns, which I think obviously they're interested in as well. Yeah. But with other investors as well, kind of working collaboratively to see how we can do more as a result of implementing these agents. So my kind of vision is not that we're on a beach somewhere with a laptop and the agents are doing the work for us, but that it frees us up to do more work in person with the companies. And also the companies get a lot more out of the box, particularly around support with VCs. I mean, I think ultimately where this could go is it could kind of, if you look at Andreessen, probably the most famous VC for their platform, they've employed hundreds of people to support their companies. I have a really strong suspicion. I can't say it's reality yet, but I have a really strong suspicion that for smaller VCs, implementing these agents can actually deliver similar value to Andreessen's platform, which is really got lots of people. That's the goal. The goal is to provide outsized support. So ultimately, where I think it'll go is, I think very similar to enterprise. I think I'll have a dashboard in the morning, and I'll have a team of agents working for me, and those agents are reporting different things to me. And I'll have an inbox that the agents say, listen, I need you to approve X, Y, and Z. You've got a meeting coming up. Here's your briefing for it. Here's a partially prepared IC memo. Love to get your feedback on it. Yeah. Agents are doing all of the work on the investment process. We're doing more human-to-human work. And I think that's going to be, I'm very excited about that, and very excited to work with the community to build and grow that for the community as well. And also, I think it'd be cool for the companies to know that the VCs are dogfooding their own kind of vision of where the technology is going.
That's amazing. So it sounds like you're having your own Deep Minds AlphaFold moment, where you're kind of giving back to the community.
That would be amazing. Now, it's hard to compete with solving protein folding. And one of the things I always see is we're software investors. And I did some work for Intertrade Ireland before, which is a north-south body helping companies in Northern Ireland and the Republic. And I was on a judging panel, and the judging panel had, which it was really kind of selecting companies to go to the next round and giving feedback to the companies. And of course, there was software mixed in with companies that were curing cancer. And it's when I'm always very humbled by the companies that cure cancer. So I'm not saying we're putting ourselves in the same shoes as isomorphic or protein folding, but I think what I hope to do is create a set of agents that enable the community to fast forward into the future, and we provide a lot better support for the entire community that we work with.
So when you think about your experience to date, what advice would you give to the next wave of founders and investors, having been both yourself?
Tom, I think that's a really great question. I mean, maybe if we take more general advice to both, I guess. I mean, I just think this is a fantastic time to either be creating a business, particularly obviously an AI business, which is what we do in SVV, or investing in those AI businesses as well. I mean, it's almost like a renaissance time. I mean, I am, I'm neither a doomer or a boomer. I'm very much down the middle, and I think these technologies will have a profoundly positive impact on society and on the economy as well. And we are actually, I even saw today, we're starting to see some of the productivity gains in the economy pop up in the numbers. Now, of course, all technologies, there can be downsides as well. But I think if managed appropriately, I think we're in for a wild 10 years of massive productivity gains, lots of change, and also breakthrough science. So I don't think there has been a better time. And I think even, I was coming up in the industry during the internet boom, and we all thought that was like the boom to end all booms. I actually think AI is going to be bigger, it's going to be more impactful. And it is not too late for a founder to get in and actually start building, because we have 5 and 10 years ahead of us. I think for investors, the market has, and I think anybody who is an investor will have seen this, but for somebody who's looking to come into the market, it has kind of bifurcated, where you have the big kind of Silicon Valley VCs you wonder if they're even VCs anymore. They're deploying billions in capital on kind of public market returns rather than venture returns. Don't get me wrong, fantastic business, and they're fantastic companies. So that's one way the market has gone. The other way the market has gone is specialist VCs. And that's how we see ourselves in SVV, which is a specialist. I think the middle ground where you have a VC that's kind of like a jack of all trades and invests in many things, I think that's a tricky place to be these days. Because even for us, if you think about our investment strategy, it's not just AI, it's a very particular part of AI, and we have a very particular vision as to how that's going to develop. There are other areas of AI that we're not touching. For example, we don't do consumer, for example. We rarely touch on healthcare, for example. We're not really doing scientific breakthroughs per se, although that materials company is obviously very interesting. So I think focus for new investors coming into the market, it is where's the area you want to focus that I think, as an investor, you have an expertise where you can help companies. And that's why the reason we focus on enterprise AI is because that's where our expertise is as a team in SVV. But my own experience, the other team members who are founders, and the technical team members that have come in, we all have a lot of experience in the enterprise side. So I think focus for investors, and I think for builders, just get going.
Get building.
Yeah, get building. Absolutely, it's a great time to do it.
Outside of VC, what do you do for fun?
Very good. Well, obviously VC is a fairly full-on job. So I guess what I like to do for fun outside is, I have to admit, a couple of things. One is I actually love building myself. So I do in my spare time. I'm using those tools. I'm using Claude's Codex. OpenAI's Codex. I'm using Claude Cowork, Claude Code. I'm building stuff myself. For my own kind of personal use. I'm building agents on John's Alludium platform. So it sounds a little bit sad, but a lot of it is tech. Apart from that, I do like to read. Like spend time with family as well, and like to I live in a very beautiful place, so I like to go on long walks in that beautiful place as well.
Amazing. And on the books, what are your favorite books?
There's actually one that I read last year that is my favorite book. It's a bit morbid. It's Annie Jacobson's Nuclear War, and it is. I think a lot of the guys in the office have read that as well. And it is an amazing book. Annie's kind of a Pentagon insider, and she takes a nuclear war scenario and she goes through it second by second, minute by minute, as to what happens. It's the whole scenario is a sneak attack on the US.
Oh, wow.
One missile. And actually there was a movie that came out on Netflix that had an element of that recently as well. But the book I read the book in 2 sittings, and literally on one weekend, I just could not put it down. The only thing I stopped for was dinner, and then I went straight back to it. Absolutely amazing book. Very well worthwhile, if on a tricky subject, obviously. And I pick another one, maybe a couple of historical ones. One of the very first books that really grabbed me I read it as a teenager, was George Orwell's 1984, which is classic and is pertinent today as it was when I read it. And that book so grabbed me at that time that I pretty much went off and read almost everything that Orwell wrote. So I read all of his books, most of his short stories, and I went through this massive Orwell phase. But that book, there's 2 books that are often referred to, Orwell's 1984 and Brave New World. 1984 is my favorite of the 2, I think, and even today has things we can learn from it. And then there's, I guess there are tech books that I've read, The Hard Thing About Hard Things, 0 to 1, kind of classic books about entrepreneurship.
And building the hard way.
Yeah, absolutely. And which really talks to, the founder's journey, and that the founder's journey is a fantastic journey, but it can be tough at times. Tough decisions need to be made. And it's a journey, I think, where it is rare I've seen on the founder's journey a founder go straight up right? There's like that lovable story. And even if you look at the lovable story, you know, it wasn't the first product they built, it wasn't the first version, or Reddit for the same thing, or Replit, I meant, rather than Reddit.
Yeah.
Rare is just straight up. Those are the ones we all hear about.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it takes hard work and grit and perseverance. And I think those books capture that very, very well. So.
Yeah. Often, you know, overnight successes are built
10
over
years
a
in the
decade.
making. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What films would you recommend to others?
Oh, okay. Well, actually, more recently, I liked a lot of the miniseries about some of the famous companies. So I like the one on Uber, which is super pumped. I like the one on WeWork as well, which is very good. There was a great one on Spotify. I can't remember the name of the one on Spotify, but it was a fantastic. And it was a mini-series which I saw on Netflix. And each episode looked at the Spotify story from a different person. So from the founder's perspective, from an investor's perspective, from a lawyer's perspective, because obviously there was a lot of legal things went on there. I thought that was brilliant. So those mini-series are great. But if you want to go back, there's a couple of nerdy things. I mean, favorite movie probably is Blade Runner, which is a classic sci-fi.
Excellent film.
Yeah, just always loved the visuals on it.
Yeah.
Brilliant movie. Probably a surprising one was Saving Private Ryan. And I remember that came out, I saw it in the cinema, and it kind of takes you back to, I think just, you know, the bravery of the people who fought in the Second World War, and the horror of war as well. Yeah. And just had a big impact on me when I saw that movie. So those are probably two sides. No rom-coms, I have to say, right?
Oh,
they're all going to be like sci-fi or war. Yeah.
And so if you weren't a VC, what would you be?
Oh, I'd be a builder, totally. And actually...
Not building houses?
Not building houses, no. Do you know, if I wasn't doing VC, I would totally be back doing startups. And actually, there's a number of elements of startups that really always appeal to me. It is that kind of trying... So I love building software. I mean, I was originally a software developer. I wouldn't say I was a great software programmer. You know, if you meet John on the team, John is a great software engineer. I wasn't one of the 10x software engineers. So that's why I love the agents. I love the agents doing all the work now. But what I always loved was kind of like the ability to create something out of nothing, and the ability to envisage a future, and then to engage with customers. And I love that. You know, another day maybe I tell you about, you know, there was a key customer insight that really helped us with FeedHenry. And had we not spoken to that customer on that day, had that customer not given us some tough love and some real insights, it probably wouldn't have been successful. So listen, so you know, the kind of very human thing of sitting down, talking to a customer, getting their feedback, seeing them using the system, and really being open to what they like and what they dislike, and thinking through how we can make it better and make lives better. That always attracted me as well. So I absolutely would be a builder. And again, I just want to come back and say, you know, I mean, if you think about we work in an ecosystem in VC, you know, but it is the founders that do the work. It is the founders that are creating the technologies. It is the founders that are making the future. We're just kind of privileged and humbled to be supporting them and backing them, and hopefully occasionally they can helping them with some of the mistakes we've made. Yeah, so totally a builder.
Who is your celebrity lookalike?
Oh, Jesus. I honestly have absolutely no idea.
Has anyone told you that you look like someone on TV, or, you know, a specific famous person?
No, but I grew a beard a couple of years ago, and my co-founder Brian, who was an amazing guy, did tell me I started looking quite German or Austrian as a result of growing the beard. So that's as close as I've come. But maybe the viewers can put it into the comments. All suggestions gladly accepted, and won't feel bad about any of them. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, Barry, it's great to have you on the show today. Thank you so much. Wishing you and SVV all the best for the rest of the year and beyond.
Tom, thanks very much for having me and talking about SVV. It's great to meet you, and great to be on. And thanks again. It's been wonderful talking to you.
I have a quick favor to ask you. Raising Europe is a community-supported channel. If you find that our content has been valuable to you or has helped you in any way, please hit the subscribe button. It's one quick, free, easy way for you to support the channel and help us make our production better each and every week. Thank you so much for joining us on our journey so far. Without you, none of this would be possible.